What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of the Morning View. Yes, we are back and we're talking all things Manchester United ahead of another match day tomorrow, ahead of next week's Europa League final. Look at that. Look at it right there. That's the time I'll be live tomorrow, 6:15 p.m. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff. And shortly after that, you can see right there, next Wednesday, yes, I'll be live at 6 p.m. for an 8 p.m. kickoff for the Europa League final. Yes, Europa League final, Spurs versus Manchester United. Always check out the sidebar. Full of good information, full of, things you can scan like there to the Football Flex or to get your UV merch and all that fun stuff. Always check out the sidebar, yes. So we've got plenty to talk about this morning. We're going to be talking about Ruben Amorim with a bit of a warning ahead of the Europa League final next week, talking about, hey, what if? It's not a thing we really want to think about too much. You don't really want to focus on it too much, but what happens if Manchester United don't win? What's the pressure going to be look like? Can these players raise the performance levels for our final? We'll be talking about that and anything else that happens whilst we're live for the next hour or so. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Already, we're nearly halfway there to 100 likes. As Daniel Luciano says right there, let's get to a quick 100 likes. MA says, when is Fleck back from holiday? Today, he'll be back to later on today. So you'll probably see him, I would think, tomorrow. Maybe you might see him on the channel today. You never know. Depends what time he gets back. Flights, you never know, that kind of stuff. But he'll be back tomorrow, certainly ahead of the game at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. And, of course, ahead of next week's Europa League final. As the days go by and we get closer, are the nerves starting to build just yet? Has your mind allowed you to go there just yet? Yes. Fabsy's in the chat, says, good morning, Owen. How's the weather? How's the weather, sir? Well, I tell you what, it was really hot yesterday. It was very, very hot. As you can tell with my complexion, it's very, very, very challenging. And I always forget to wear sun cream. Hence why recently I got very burnt, and which I'm still dealing with the remnants of. Not too bad now, but maybe it's turned into a bit of color, which is probably not the worst thing in the world. I've seen people in the chat go, oh, you need to go out in the sun more often. And, I say to that,
you better watch out because we are comfy.
Yes. If you saw the video yesterday, so the video went up yesterday. I'll tell you what, I had a day yesterday with the internet and all that kind of stuff. It was one of those. We were going back and forth. But what I did do is fix the soundboard. The soundboard is fixed and it's in a new iteration. Previously, I'd have the soundboard on my screen here, but recently it's not been working. Recently, it's not been working so well. And now I've got it where on a tablet next to me, I can literally touch screen and do it. It's like a soundboard. You know what I mean? So I can just do Undertaker. I can just do, if I do a really shitty joke, if I can switch back to Eubank and just go,
oh, sorry.
There's a lot I can do with this. I can switch over to my wrestling sound effects, like we see in the Premier League. Manchester United, worst team in the league, playing in Europe, Europa League final.
You think you know me?
We can do lots of different things. This is a new era of the soundboard. This is a new era, a new kind of, I can swipe between things. Things get criminal. It's a lot more. I don't have to sort of go onto the screen. I can do all that. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for when KG malfunctions straight away. Fabrizio, we're waiting for the Mateus Cunha stuff. We can just,
here we go.
Very quick, very agile. Very, very agile. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a big summer, guys. It's going to be a big summer, and they're going to be utilized. Daniel Luciano says, "Does it have lick it up straight away?"
Rastafari, lick him up, Rastaf, lick him up.
I can just. So I'm very excited with that. I think that's a good development. I think a new development that I'm very excited for. So, I don't think he'll ever rival KG's. KG's is, that's the OG. But I think that's not bad, and we can add stuff to that. I can add sounds to it very easily. It's all here in front of me, so I'm very excited about that. So yes, and if there are any sounds you want to be added, I can get pages of this. I can get pages of it. So you find a funny sound, you find a funny clip or whatever, just DM me it on on X or Instagram, probably X, and it'll get added here. Anything, I can get.
He's crying in his car.
That's in there. So anything. I got an old
stupid.
If it's just easy.
He has to go, blood. He has to go, blood.
Like it's constant. It's constant. Anything. They're all here in front of me. All here in front of me. So that's very exciting. But yes, enough of that nonsense. We are here to talk about Manchester United. Seth Rollins, with the first super chat of the day, says, where is the Europa League theme song? The Europa League theme song, I mean, I don't want to overplay it ahead of the final. We are going to be playing it at least one more time, for one more match view, which is exciting next week. Added to the soundboard. I don't know if I'll add that one to the soundboard. We've got that here saved in this system. Mr. Christmas says I need to get some Kino Amorim ones. I do. Yeah, I do need to get them. I mean, but look, now that this is set up the way it's set up, we can do a lot. We can do a lot with it indeed. But right, news. news. Ruben Amorim, of course, if you check out the video I put up yesterday, it was largely Ruben Amorim talking about the Europa League, and of course talking about if he would quit, if he would walk away from Manchester United. Some were worried that because of how bad it is at the club, because of results, and if he doesn't get backed in the summer, etc., he could walk, he could leave. He said, I'm not quitting, I'm not leaving, I'm far from quitting. I went through all of those quotes yesterday, so be sure to check that out. But some other quotes was quite interesting, and it's actually something that we have kind of spoken about quite a lot, isn't it? Of we don't really want our minds to go there. We don't really want our minds to go with, well, what if we don't win? But again, these are uncomfortable conversations, I suppose. So what happens if Manchester United don't win that Europa League final? What is the pressure going to look like? And Ruben Amorim was asked that. What happens if Manchester United don't win that final? How much pressure is he going to be under? And Amorim said, when asked about the reaction if Manchester United do not win the Europa League, he said, quote, it's going to be really bad. And which is probably an understatement. I don't want to use that as an excuse. It's going to be really tough. The patience of the fans and you guys, if we don't win it, next year is going to be in the limit. And we have to be perfect to continue everything. I know that. So it's not going to be, it's not better in that way. And I think that's a key thing. Minna was saying Monday on the red carpet, well, it might actually be a good thing if we're not into the Champions League next season and we don't win the final, etc. He's saying definitively right there, it's not better that way. If we don't win Europa League, don't try and spin it as a sort of weird positive, or it's actually a positive because we won't be in Europe next. It's not a positive. It's not. And when asked, would it increase the pressure on you? He says, yeah, for sure. If we don't win, that is clear, but I'm not concerned about that. So, and I think, what, in fairness to him, and this is what Ruben is very good at. Ruben is very, very good at answering questions well in press conferences. I praised him yesterday in the video I did for how he handled the question about paying for staff to attend the final in Spain for the Europa League next week, which that entire situation, like I said, I go into it in a lot more depth in that video, but it's just criminal. It's just absolutely scandalous that we go into a European final and our manager or head coach and players are offering to pay for staff to attend because the club doesn't want to pay for them to attend because they're worried about finances. Whereas the contracts that they're paying to these guys is still paying for. It's just the latest in the sort of embarrassment for Manchester United when it comes to that. But he handled that question when asked it yesterday very well by saying, well, club's going for a transitional time and it's difficult for them when they're cutting back and when they're trying to limit spending to then spend on certain things. So I'm just helping out the best way that I can. I'm just making it easier. He played very diplomatic, and that's what he's done with that answer right there. I think he's hit every single point of it there of make no mistake. Wednesday, if we do not win the Europa League final, don't try and spin it. Don't try and go, well, in a way, it's actually a good thing. And in a way, that's probably good for us. The rebuild, it's not a good thing. We need to win next Wednesday. The idea of, we're not going to, with the Champions League, we're not even going to win it. So why be in it? Who gives a shit? Those teams that are in the playoff final, was it Sunderland and Sheffield United? Do you think they're in the playoff final going, actually, what's the point of winning this game at Wembley? Because we're probably just going to get relegated next season, actually, from the Premier League. And, we're definitely not going to win the Premier League next season. So we should just stay in the Championship. No, need money. Need the money. Yeah, they need the money. And they might go up and they might go straight out of the competition. Or they might stay in it and they might make more money. That's what Manchester United need. Manchester United need the money. We also need the players. So whilst it's not impossible to get back to the summit of English football and win major trophies again, if we don't win the Europa League next week, but certainly a lot easier. And our summer, which we've already stated multiple times, is massive. Like this summer ahead for Manchester United is so big, with the amount of players that need to leave, the amount of players that need to come in, with a lot that needs to happen at the club. It gets easier, or certainly the players that we can bring in are suddenly more broad. Our targets are more possible if we are in the Champions League. So not winning next week isn't one of those things where, it's a good thing. In a way, it's a good thing. He knows that. When it comes to the pressure, Ruben just said what I've been saying for months, weeks at this point, which is if he doesn't win next week, then I think it's already been established in the last 7 days, hasn't it? He's not going to go anywhere. I think those worries that definitely I had of, well, it's been so bad. And if United finish 16th or 17th and you're the worst team in the league that's going to be in the league next season, maybe Ineos do panic. Maybe Ineos do get a bit worried. Maybe Ineos do decide just to blow the thing up and then, look somewhere else. This week, he said, I'm not quitting. And clearly the club have briefed to the biggest journalists around, your David Ornsteins, your Fabrizio Romano. They're not interested. They're not looking to move him on. And that's the last thing on their agenda. So he's going to be here. He's going to be here at the beginning of next season. He's not quitting. He's not getting sacked. And they're going to back him in the transfer market, right? We know that. We know that. But even he admits there, if we don't win the Europa League next week, then the pressure is on. The pressure, if it wasn't anyway, but the pressure is firmly on. He even says it, we'd need to be perfect next season. We'd need to be perfect because he realized we've slipped up as much as we can slip up effectively. Everyone is hanging their hat and betting on this summer being a pretty transformative summer. Not like we're going to be suddenly competing for the league, or not even like suddenly, we're going to be, comfortably in top 4. The report came out a couple of days ago. United are in for top 6 next season. And we haven't been in the top 6 for the last two seasons. 2 seasons. Yeah. The pressure will be on. As he says right there, will it increase the pressure? Yeah, for sure. If we don't win, that is clear. He's not concerned about that, but the pressure will be on. How will it not? Of course it will be. In pre-season, the pressure will be on. And even that, you know me, I've said it for the last couple of pre-seasons. So every pre-season I've done here on United View, that I'm not really looking at results that much. I'm looking at performances, and you're looking at fitness, etc., etc. But the first time Man United kick a ball after this season, it will be like, all right, what Man United are we getting here? What do we look like we're playing better? Are we scoring goals? Are we winning games? That's what we're going to be looking at. And if we have a preseason where we don't win any of the games, or we only win a couple of games, people are like, oh, and we're not playing the best teams in preseason. We're playing sort of mid Premier League teams. We'll be like, oh, first game of next season. So I cannot overstate just how big not only next week is, but also just the summer is. And in terms of my time, even as a football fan, let alone doing stuff like this, I just can't recall a sort of summer window where I've just thought, this is just, everything's on this. Everything is on this. Everything is on this. Again, and I'm trying in my brain just to take it like days at a time. Days at a time. Let's just do the Europa League final first. Don't let yourself be worried about stuff that hasn't necessarily happened yet, in which direction you're going to be going in. But it's a big summer, isn't it? It's a very, very big summer. Super chat here from Terence says a lot about the owners when the manager and players are paying for staff and families to thank them for their service. God help us if we don't win. I mentioned it yesterday, Terence. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, particularly when you compare yourself to Spurs. I mean, Daniel Levy, he's got the reputation for being, very, very, very. I think I saw something from Kieran Maguire the other day saying Spurs are like one of the most profitable Premier League sides because of the tight ship that Daniel Levy runs. I mean, everyone knows negotiating with Spurs is very, very hard because Daniel Levy will get the price that he's looking for. Their wage structure is incredibly, incredibly tight. That's why, the only outlier for a while was Harry Kane. He was on loads of money. Everyone else, you go, really? They're on how much? And they're paying for everyone to go. They're paying for, for families and, and staff. Of course, it's a European final. Us, no. You can watch on a screen in Manchester. You can have your food voucher. And, that's about it. And the craziness of it all is that, so Ruben Amorim's paying for it. I think Bruno's paying for it. I don't know if other players are paying for it. And, it's like, well, so you're happy for you to pay big contracts to these players and the manager, and that money will just go back in. So it's like it's still your money anyway. It's just madness. And then, like Byron says in the chat, and the Glazers will fly out on a private jet that costs way more combined. That one trip will cost more than what it would cost to get all these staff to attend. It's just disgusting. And it goes to show that, again, that they're focused on this minutia. And I know the mentality of Sir Jim was, well, if you look after the pennies, the pounds will take care of themselves. And that's why he's focused on this. But this is what Gary Neville, to his credit, did press him on in this interview by saying, well, okay, you're looking at cutting these things and you're cutting, food, and you can only have some bread and, some soup and this, that, and the other. But you're still paying these huge contracts, and you're still, and in the summer you'll pay big transfer fees, and like there's other fat you could be trimming here, bigger bits of fat you could be trimming here, and you're focusing on these tiny minutia points of it. And I know that contracts are guaranteed, and some of the transfer fees, they have to pay, etc., etc. But you do just sort of look at that and go, it just seems all arse backwards, doesn't it? It really does just seem completely arse backwards, and I just don't. But that's Manchester United at the moment. And the problem is, because we're embarrassing on so many different fronts, it kind of gets lost in it all. Like if we were successful in the Premier League, the Premiership at the moment, then you feel like that would be an even bigger story. But because we're nearly at the foot of the table, because there's always an interview and there's always something going on in the media, because there's always something that's, controversy with players and are they going to be going, then the stuff about the staff not attending the final, it kind of gets lost. It kind of gets lost in it all. And it's just, I don't know, but again, it's kind of mad that that's like, it's embarrassing, but it's just one of many embarrassing things about Manchester United at the moment. Someone say it's criminal. Look at that soundboard. It's always there with the with soundboard. Look at that. Can always press it. Yes, indeed. And something else that Ruben Amorim said, and this is, I suppose, the point about can Manchester United rise for the final? Can Manchester United improve their performance for the final? And the mad thing is, of course they can. Of course, they can raise their performance for the final because they're criminals. Press the button again. Of course, they can raise their performance for the final. Even Ruben Amorim sees it. He says, we can see that even the last few years, even with Ten Hag, with some problems, when they reached the final, they were there. You guys know that this team can prove already that in the final, they can step up, and we know that. And look, he's right. Of course, he's right. It's the same way that KG was right when we were going into the Bilbao game, right? When we were going into that Bilbao game, the first leg away from home, it was on one of this, it was on one of these morning shows. It was on the Trinity, wasn't it? Me and KG, we argued for pretty much the entirety of the show of KG going, those guys can do it. Those guys can do it. And my point of view was, no, they can't. We've seen them all season. Look at them. They're criminals. They're this, that, and the other. And Cage was like, yeah, that's the point. And he's right. He was right. You would watch that game against West Ham at the weekend and say, West Ham going into that game were 17th in the league. They were the worst of the rest. Every team below them will be in the championship next season. They are shit. They are rubbish. All right, and going into that game, they hadn't won a game in 5 at least, and Graham Potter come in. There's been no managerial bounce or what have you, and we couldn't even beat them. Right, they beat us pretty comfortably in the end. Right, 2-0. One of the goals that looks like Bindy is even celebrating. Have you seen that? Gets mad. Like, actually is mad. He's obviously angry, but it looks very celebratory. But yeah, they comfortably dealt with us. And, you could say XG and all that kind of stuff. We had our chances when we go 2-0 down. We still don't take them. And I don't give a shit, right? We're rubbish. You would watch that game and logically, you would say to yourself, how on earth do we win a European final? These players are crap. This team is crap. The manager can't get anything out of these players. They're rubbish. We have no chance. But that's the point. That's the point of these guys is they have shown it this season in the Champions League, if only in the Europa League, that they look a different team at points. We played a team that's in 4th in La Liga, one of the best defenses in La Liga, and we put 7 goals past across 2 legs. 7-1 on aggregate against a team that's going to be in the Champions League next season. We put 7 goals past them across 2 legs. We cannot score a goal in the Premier League. We can't beat West Ham and they're terrible, but we can beat Bilbao. It doesn't make sense. So this is what I do. Even myself, I have learned this. Stop trying to look for the logical in the illogical because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And I think now we're at the stage, at least I am, where I can't expect logical things from these people because who knows? It doesn't make it, like Stephanie says in the chat there, make it make sense. It doesn't. Like it you know what I mean? It doesn't. I look at some of these players in the team and say domestically, I know the table doesn't lie to an extent, but surely they are better than 17th or 16th in the league. I don't know. That's for the summer to figure out. But as far as that final next week, look, I know, again, we haven't beat Spurs all season. We've never beaten Ange whilst he's been at Spurs. We've played him 3 times. They've beat us 3 times. All the logic would suggest, well, actually, Man United, not very good in the league, but Spurs have had a number. Ange has had the number of Man United. That doesn't look good for us, but I still think we'll win. I do. I just think that it's a final. This team's got history in finals for the last 2 seasons, Carabao Cup, FA Cup twice, being in finals. So there is at least this experience of being in those big game situations and having a pretty good record in them, winning 2 trophies out of 3. I look at this team and go, well, their best performances this season have been in the Europa League. We haven't lost a game in the Europa League this season. You feel like if there was ever a time which you felt like your name was almost on the trophy a little bit, look at the last-minute goals that we've had, whether it's Maguire against Porto, whether it's obviously the late goals against Lyon, whether it's turning it around and getting red cards in games against Bilbao, winning that first leg 3-0, like just some mad stuff has happened in this competition. And this is kind of, I suppose, what Amorim was saying in the post-match press conference and then the one that he did yesterday, which is there is clearly a mentality issue whereby the knowledge that they basically can't lose the game does mean something. Because in the Premier League, there is this mentality with those players of it doesn't matter. If we lose this game, we're still going to be in the Premier League. There's no real consequences. We've never been close to qualifying through to the Champions League through the league position all season. That went a long, long time ago. So where is the consequence for losing the game? There isn't one. So when you know that, even if you're not intentionally doing it subconsciously, you don't do that extra 5-10%. It's criminal. It's criminal behavior. They're professional footballers. They play for Manchester United. Every game should be important. You should be wanting to win every game. You should be winning, at least trying to win near enough every game. But those players are criminals. Again, it's criminal behavior from criminals. But in that Europa League, when it's like, we can't afford to lose this game or we're out and we're not, then that's screwed for next season. We've seen last gasp winners or last gasp equalizers or different performances that we didn't expect. And you kind of think that'll probably be the same next week of when it really matters. And, when it really counts, we do have players in that team that do stand up. We do have your Casemiros. You do have your Bruno Fernandes. You do have these people that can and do stand up. Whereas it comes to Spurs, look, that's their history of not winning those big games, right? And even if you want to look at it completely cynically with financially, a lot of those players, if they win the Europa League next week, they get a shitload of money next season because they get a pay rise for being in the Champions League. It's like 25%. As James said on Monday, it's not every player, but it's a lot, particularly if they're on old contracts that were agreed to by, your John Murtos, and even if they were agreed to by late Ed Woodward, not that he's dead, but, right at the end of his era, they're in line for a lot more money. I think even Ruben Amorim's got one in his contract where he gets more money if we get into the Champions League. So you'll be shocked. Suddenly, that run-in, and that sort of sprinting and that, pressing. When we go, we we don't really see that sort of that pressing that much from the players. Imagine saying that. Oh, by the way, you make quite a lot of money next season, and you'll get a bonus, obviously, because you've won a European competition. You win a trophy. I'm sure that's baked into these contracts too. You'd be shocked, and I think almost what we have to do as fans is basically not be shocked. With I can't believe these players are running next week. I can't believe these. I can't look how much it means, and they're sprinting around. Because there's a lot on the line, isn't there? There's Champions League football. There's finances. There's their future at the club. It's all into that game, and also you have to think about next season. It's obviously a World Cup season next season. At the end of next season, they're going to be wanting to play in the biggest competition, footballing competition in the world. So they'd want to be in the Champions League. If they have a good season in the Champions League, it's a better chance of playing for their country at the World Cup. There's all that stuff there. And it's all stuff that I think as fans, we just roll our eyes at, because we just go, you bloody mercenaries, caring about the money or caring about yourself and what have you. But yeah, yeah, that's what they're like. Super Craven says, remember when we could have stopped City winning the treble by winning the FA Cup? The team didn't turn up. No Fs were given. And you know what the mad thing is? And look, Craven, you're right. You would hope that much, but stuff like that, it almost doesn't matter to them as much as money. Money, selfish stuff. Oh, actually, am I going to be at Manchester United next season? Am I going to be in the Champions League next season? There is a disconnect, not with every player, but with some players of what the fans care about, and the fan standards and the player standards. And this is something that we say all the time when it comes to loyalty, or when it comes to just the playing for the badge or playing for the fans. Some players aren't like that. They're not. They're not, and that's why we always say shouldn't get attached to players, shouldn't get attached to managers, because largely, again, not everyone. You don't want to paint everyone with the same brush, but a lot of players, a lot of coaches, they're in it for themselves. If they get a better opportunity, or if they can get more money, at the end of the day, it's their career. And that's what it is. So stuff that matters to us, you can't have City win the treble. That's terrible. Their big thing is, well, again, what's my future looking like next season? What money am I on? And I need a new contract. I need a pay rise. This, that, and the other. And other clubs sniffing around. It's just different. There are different priorities for fans versus the players versus the executives. And it's been like that for a long, long time. It very much is. We've got over 200 likes at the moment. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get to 300. Be sure to subscribe as well. As you can see in the top right-hand corner there, we're at 192,000 on the road to 200K. And remember, just because I actually had a couple of people ask this, I was talking to my dad the other day. And he was like, "Do we play on Friday? Do we play on Friday? Do we play Friday?" Yes. We do play tomorrow, not at the weekend. It's on Friday. So it's Friday night football for Manchester United. Just Spurs play on the Friday as well, I think. Yeah, they do. The Spurs play they kick off at 7:30 tomorrow, and United's at 8:15. So they've got 45 minutes on us. The bastards. They've got 45 minutes on us. That's what's going to be on Wednesday. We're going to be like, oh, yeah, they had 45 minutes. If it goes to extra time and penalties, we'll be looking at those 45 minutes. They had 45 minutes extra. Yeah, that's what it was. But yes, you play tomorrow against Chelsea. So a reminder for that one. As I said, we'll be live at 6:15, 6:15, 2 hours before kickoff, as per usual. As far as what to expect from that one, I really don't know. I mean, there's going to be a preview coming out later today. Going through the team, what expected from the team and results, whatever. And I will be honest. I will go into this more in the preview, but I don't know about you. I'm in a very strange place with these Premier League games that are remaining, right? Because we've got two. We've obviously got the Chelsea one, and then next weekend we've got Villa, right? And I do understand the frustration, because it is kind of crazy, isn't it? Where we've all been doing this. Well, I say all. A lot of people, myself included, have been doing look, I don't give a shit. The focus isn't the Premier League at the moment. It's all about the Europa. All about Europa. Not anything else. So it's fine. It doesn't matter. And then the game happens, and we're really pissed off, and we're furious. We're like, this players, this team, and then rightfully so, people go, "But I thought it didn't matter." And you go, "Yeah, but then I had to see it." And Kenny would say,
"Disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful."
So you've got to. I do sympathise. It's really difficult, isn't it? Really, really difficult, because we don't care. Like you don't going into the game. You don't care, because it's like whatever. Like in terms of our future, it means nothing. Like it literally means zero in terms of our future. In terms of ramifications for this season, for next season, it really means nothing. But then the whistle goes and you watch the performance and then you see the table afterwards and then the stats come up of how we are like I think since the beginning of April, I think we have picked up less points than anyone in the league or something like it's really shit. Really, really, really bad. Like it's like 2 points since the beginning of April or something like that. It's really not good. And that hurts. That hurts. And then you start thinking like, oh, next season, it can't go on like this. Like it can't. It can't go on this. And then you get, but I thought it didn't matter. And you go, yeah, I know it doesn't matter. But then, I'm going to try my very best to be like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter tomorrow because I suppose you have to commit to one. Like either it matters or it doesn't. The West Ham one, I was committed to that. Like it didn't matter, and then the team was stronger than I expected. It was more first teamers than I thought. I thought it'd be very, very youth centric, and it was a lot stronger than I intended. Bar like maybe 2 or 3 players, it was arguably our strongest team that we put out at the moment, and it was still awful. And I thought, bloody hell, that's worrying. And it was against the opposition because West Ham, that was like, oh, if we're going to win one more game in the league this season, it's going to be this one. And it wasn't. So you go, right, we're not winning the game in the Premier League for the rest of the season. So in terms of who he's going to play, I mean, he said that Yoro, De Ligt, they're not involved. I mean, it's a race for them to get to the final. I think Yoro will make it. I'm not sure about De Ligt. As far as the rest of the team, I think, again, he might go, Bayern Deer in goal, back 3. That's where I would look at like Fredrickson. Who else would he put in there? Maybe like a Lindelof. Midfield or wing backs. A Mass. Maybe might go Dorgu for a bit. I mean, I did see that Dallo, again, it's a race against time, whether or not he's going to be available for next week. But obviously, he's not going to be involved tomorrow. Midfield, I don't know, Ericsson, maybe Kobe, Siku Kone, and he was training with the team yesterday, so maybe might go with that. In the 10s, striker, Chido. In the 10s, who could he go with? Again, it depends who's going to start for the final. I mean, I think for the final, he's going to probably go with Bruno and Garnacho in the 10s, and it's going to be Casemiro, Ugarte midfield. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he went with, I don't know, Mason Mount and someone else, perhaps. I just think it will be completely rotated. I don't think, considering the last 2 times he's played maybe stronger teams or stronger people than maybe we expected, Yoro got injured and then De Ligt got injured. I just think he'll maybe go, yeah, I'm just not risking it. I'm not risking it. Because if someone picks up an injury, then they're not playing on Wednesday. It's just too close. It's too close. So I think it's probably going to be that. And then obviously when it comes to Spurs, there was the announcement made by them yesterday that Kulusevski has had surgery on his patella. This was really odd because they announced that he had undergone surgery. He picked up an injury in the last game. And look, I said this yesterday too. We are in full shameless settings. We are going to hopefully scumbag our way into the Champions League by finishing 17th or 16th. So we're way past the point of, oh, this is embarrassing. Yeah, I don't want, if they got players missing or suspended or injured, I'm all for it. And you can go, oh, look at the state of Manchester United. Happy that Spurs players aren't available because they're not going to be available for the final. Back in the day, you could be at full strength Spurs, no problem. Yeah, that's back in the day. Back in the day, we'd never be 16th or 17th. So yeah, someone that scored in 2 of the games against us this season, and Kulusevski, if he's missing, great. We need all the help we can get. It's really, really clear. We need all the help we can get. We saw it in the Bilbao game. Go down to 10 men. Thank you very much. The Williams brothers, not available. Thank you very much. Get a penalty. Thank you very much. We'll take it all. So, yeah. Kulusevski out, good. Madison out, good. Bergvall out, good. No, and we'll take it. We will take anything. anything we can get. Right. So Kulusevski looks like he's not going to be available. But again, the wording that they used was very, very strange because they didn't say he was out for the season. They just said, oh, he's going to be working with our, he's going to be doing his rehabilitation with our medical team, blah, blah, blah. Surely there is no way you can have patella surgery and be available to play football in a final in 7 days' time. Surely that is impossible. So I would suggest that at the very least, if he's on the bench, that would be somewhat of a miracle. somewhat of a miracle. But as I said, he has scored in the 3 games that we've played this season against Spurs, which we've lost all of them. He scored in 2, the first 2. He scored in the game at Old Trafford that they won 3-0. That was just awful. That was the day KG was Ten Hag out. And in that mad Carabao Cup game, which they were rubbish. They were. We were terrible that day. So were Spurs. I mean, that was like Fraser Forster madness. I still don't. That was just. I mean, that was in around December time. It was crazy. That was a bad time for Man United. Not that there's been any good times, but that was a bad time because that was around the time of Newcastle and all this kind of stuff. So yeah. So I would take anything. I would take anything. When it comes to players not being available because we need to be in the Champions League. That's what we need. A members chat from United Loves, been known for 13 months, says Europa versus Ajax. I was away for work. We won. Versus Villarreal, I was at my girlfriend's. We lost. This year, I'm away for work. Good. Look, you know me. People can get angry and say, "Owen, don't do the superstitious stuff," and it's got no impact, and it's got this and it's got that. I would, as I just said, I will take anything. If you've got any good superstitions that you're going to be doing, lay it on me. I need it. As far as I'm aware, right now, KG that comedian will not be attending the game. As far as I'm aware, 6 days to go until the final. He is currently scheduled, as things stands, to be on the match view. That for me is a massive win. That to me is really, really, really important. Really important. People thought I was taking the mick with the stuff with KG. I was being deadly serious. When it comes to superstitions...
You think you know me?
Yeah, that... So, KG not being there, tick. That's a positive. Things could change, but that's a positive. I'm not letting my dad, but like as Imran says, buy any kind of shirts yet. I mean, I think the ones he got this season are still in here. Who did he get again this season? I mean, they're not going to be. Yeah. It's not really. Xerxes probably out for the final. Cobby can't get in the team. So, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, Cobby. Xerxes, apologies. Apologies for that one on behalf of the family. He might be back. They might be back, maybe. But you know.
Oh, sorry.
Sort of. Really. Yeah. And this was last season's. Think of the seasons that these two people had last season. Mason Mount first season, Casemiro second season. Mount barely played a game. Casemiro by the end. Jamie Carragher was saying, "Go Saudi, go MLS."
Oh, sorry.
Do I should? And this was, I mean, Ten Hag's first season. These two did well. Ten Hag's first season, these two did well, but then it caught up to him the next season. So that was, yeah. I mean, Leacher after that first season, basically been injured ever since. Done his foot. than his knee. Rashford's not even at the club anymore. Just had a good first season and then doesn't even, so.
Oh, sorry.
And maybe I'll probably have to look at him and just be like,
why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
gonna have to be. I'll have a word. I'll have a word. Maybe we don't get shirts next season. Maybe I just say to him, maybe you don't bother. Don't really bother to get them. It's pointless. Don't really. No need. Next season's it's important. You know what I mean? Next season's kind of important. It's kind of we've got to stop that. But we then did come to the conclusion if it gets one without a name on, then maybe that's just on the club. That's just club judge. And that is when we get relegated. Yeah, I don't know. But maybe I was gonna say maybe get an England shirts, World Cup year. But
He has to go, blood. He has to go, blood.
yeah, maybe we'll have to think about that. I'll have to come up with a plan. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a plan. Yeah. And also with a reminder, guys, I am committed for the Europa League final. I've committed. I've said it on stream numerous times. The moment that Manchester United win that Europa League final, if they win, but the moment that Manchester United win that Europa League trophy, once the full-time whistle goes, I will place order on the Manchester United WWE Championship. Yes. Yeah. £500. That's going to cost 500 quid for a Man United WWE Championship bout. Yeah. I will do it because we will be champions, and champions we're about. Okay. And I couldn't get it for the final. It gets shipped out at the end of the month on the 31st. So it'll get shipped out in 10 days time. I don't know how long it will take to get to me. Hopefully not that long. And we will have it on my shoulder for the summer. Yeah, that's what it will be. Over my shoulder for the summer. All Elite says, claim it as an expense. I'm going to try and float that idea out there. I don't think it's going to work. I think that expense claim is going to get very much turned down. To me, it's a prop. It's for the channel. It's for the community. I just think I'm going to lose that one. I think it's criminal. But, it's fine. And I know that some people go, I don't care about it,
Stupid.
But it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. That championship bout will be on my shoulder for the summer. And the moment the whistle is blown after we win, then it's going to be mine, okay? That's what it's going to be, yeah? That is what it's going to be. It's a Manchester United WWE Championship. How can I not have it? How can I? And I'm not even a collector of those things. Some people are. When it comes to the bouts, people buy the replicas and they have a whole display. That's not really my thing. But how can I not? How can I not? The Braid says in the words of Don Robbie, we're going to do this. I don't need Don Robbie's words.
We're going to do this.
That's Flex's words. Okay. We're going to do this. I'm enjoying the sound. I'm enjoying this. So yes, that's going to happen. This time next week, it'll be the day of. It will be the day after. We'll know. I'll know. We'll know that.
We're going to do this.
I'd have ordered the bout by this point. I'd be like, it's going to be shipped out in a couple of weeks' time. Oh, it's going to be exciting. We'll be like one of those channels. We'll do the bout unboxing video here live on the channel. Maybe we'll make it a members video. Yeah, maybe actually, maybe do like a members video. I'll be like, oh, I've just got the box. Open it. I'll be like, oh, look at this. Look, it's real gold. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that sounds exciting. I think that sounds like a good plan. Yes. And we'll turn into one of those channels, doing unboxings. And I mean, for 500 quid, that thing's it's making a lot of appearances on stream. I'm telling you, the whole shows I'm doing it over my shoulder, or I'll just have to, like, even though this is great, I have to prop it up in the background. I'll just get like a thing. It'll just be here constantly there. That's what it'll be. That's what. Yeah, good. Sounds like a good idea. So yes, that's what it's gonna be next week. Excellent. It's going to be exciting. Right, there you go, guys. That's the morning view for you this morning. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. Make the top right-hand corner move. A reminder, I think there's What the Devil coming up today, 12:30 p.m. live here on the channel. In addition to that, there'll be a preview coming out later on today ahead of tomorrow's game at Stamford Bridge. Be Chelsea versus Manchester United, of course. And then all eyes, if they weren't already, all eyes turn to Bilbao. All eyes turn to the Europa League final. Yeah. Flex, what are we going to do?
We're going to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm out of here. Peace.